Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday. I've got my cup of coffee here. I hope you have yours too as we set aside a few moments on Tuesday mornings to spend together. Just some devotional thoughts to help you this second day of a new week. This morning, I'm quite enjoying my coffee. Thanks and shout out to Lindsay and Sonny Bamberg. When they were here Sunday, Lindsay handed me a fresh can of whole bean coffee from Trader Joe's. Most important words on it: extra dark roast. And I've said a lot of times in these videos how much I like a dark roast coffee, so you can imagine how much I'm enjoying this extra dark roast these last few mornings. Quite enjoying it, and thanks so much to them. Got my third cup of it here this morning, and appreciate that so much. I thought today I'd do something I haven't done. You know, I call this Coffee with PC, but for the last several months I've not used coffee as my illustration other than to mention I brought my cup. So I thought today I'd use a story about coffee that might help us make the point that I want to make to you this morning. It's a story that you may be familiar with. I think even a book was kind of based off this. I don't know if it's a true story or just kind of one of those kind of tale stories that we get, but the story goes that there was a young woman who was experiencing a variety of difficulties in her life. Lots of things were just going wrong, and she was in a bad spot. And so, like most young adults, she went home and sat down with her parents, with her mom, and was just kind of telling her mom all that she was dealing with, all of her frustrations, all of her struggles, all of her uncertainty, not sure what to do next, not sure if she was gonna make it through this particular season of her life. And her mom, to teach her a lesson, pulled out three things. She pulled out a carrot, an egg, and some coffee beans. Seems like unusual things, but this is what she did. She put each of those things in a pot and boiled them. She put the carrot in a pot of water, she put the egg in a pot of water, she put the ground coffee beans in a pot of water, and let them boil for a few minutes. And after that, she brought each of those things to show her daughter. And she took first the carrot, and she asked her daughter what it was. She said, well, it's just a carrot. She goes, no, understand, this carrot started as solid, as strong, as firm. But as the difficulty symbolized by the hot water came, it softened. It sort of gave way. The difficulty got the best of it. How about the egg? Same conditions, both of these put in hot water, but the egg had the opposite effect. Rather than getting soft, the egg, which was fragile, now hardens on the inside. This hard-boiled egg becoming rigid and inflexible in the face of the difficulty that it faced. And then there was the coffee beans. And what happens to those? Well, unlike the other two items, the carrot or the egg, the coffee beans, when they interacted with that hot water, they weren't changed. Rather, they changed the water into something delicious, into something that we regularly drink in the morning, or pick me up to go for the day, or even throughout the day. It changed the water and the difficulty into something aromatic and delicious that could be used. And I think that's an interesting thing, because what happens in our lives is we experience trouble. In fact, Jesus said, in this world, you will have trouble. That's just kind of a promise. Maybe not one of the promises of Jesus we want to claim very often, but it's nonetheless what he tells us. In this world, you will have trouble. That there will be difficulty, there will be trials, there will be tests. We're finding it in this season of our lives, and in this year, all of the things that we've faced and are continuing to face in regard to societal issues, in regard to the global pandemic. All of these things, they're tests. And it's not just things that are affecting the whole world like they are right now, but each of us at different times go through tests. We go through trials. We go through struggles, whether it be personal illness or loss or financial difficulty or relationship struggles with our parents, with our kids, with family and friends. There's lots of things that are struggles that we go through. Jesus says they're going to come. And his brother James actually has this to say, which is really remarkable. Probably not the thing you would expect someone to say, but James says, James chapter 1, verse 2, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. You know, we don't often go into a time of trial going, whoopee, here comes a trial, yay. No, we kind of brace ourselves and prepare ourselves and and just try to endure through it. But James says it should be an occasion for joy. Why is that? Because, consider it pure joy, not because you're in the midst of difficulty, but because of what that trial produces. Because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. That the times of trial, the times of testing, the times of struggle that we have in our life are producing in our lives something of value. That God allows these difficulties in our lives to build into our character something very important. In this case, James calls it perseverance. And it says in verse 4, let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. The result of trial faced by a Christian, faced by a follower of Jesus who desires to live by and for him, the result can be building character in our life so that we become mature and complete in the face of trial. Not like the carrot, which we think we're strong and firm, but we realize that the trial just sort of weakens us and softens us. And certainly not like the egg, fragile in the face of trial, but ultimately we become hardened on the inside because of our difficulty. Hard-hearted even is a phrase the Bible would use, not in a positive light, but rather like the coffee bean, that when the trial comes, we know as it mixes with our life, the result of that can be something different, can be something positive. As James says, it can be maturity and completeness in our faith. And here's what I love, actually, what he goes on to say. He says, the trial comes because it wants to produce in you these positive things, this maturity, this perseverance, this completeness, so that you'll lack nothing. And then he says this, if any of you lacks wisdom. Why does he say that? Because here's what I know about my own life. As I'm facing trial, as the difficulty begins to come, I have sometimes a hard time understanding how to react, how to press forward. What I need is discernment. What I need is wisdom in the face of that trial to be able to endure through it, so that perseverance is the outgrowth, so that maturity is the outcome. And James says, the goal of the trial is that you'll lack nothing, but in the face of the trial, if you lack wisdom, you should ask God, and he will give generously without finding fault. And so I want you to take that encouragement today, that the hot water, the trial that comes upon our life has a good purpose. God can use it to produce in us not weakness like the carrot, not hard-heartedness like the egg, but a transformative experience, the trial building in us perseverance, building in us maturity, building in us completeness, if we'll ask God for his wisdom in the face of the trial. Like I said, I know we are in general in a situation in our country, in our world of trial, of difficulty. I know that's influencing us, that's impacting all of us differently, but it's certainly impacting all of us in some way or the other. And I think that what can be the legacy of this trial, we keep saying, we just want things to go back to normal. I've heard that. I've thought that. You've probably thought or said that too. And what if God is saying, no, what we know is normal, we don't want to go back to. We want instead these trials, these difficulties to produce in us something better, something different, something transformative, so that we develop in our character perseverance, that we develop maturity in Christ, and that we are becoming more and more complete in him because of the very things that are testing us, because of the very things that are pushing and trying us during this time. Can we trust that with all the uncertainty that we face in our world, that there is one thing that is for certain, and that is God is still the sovereign Lord, the King of heaven and earth. And God can use even difficulty, the very things that Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble. But he goes on and says what? But take heart, for I have overcome the world. May you find, even in the trials we face these days and weeks and months, May you find God building into your life the very character of his Son in a way that will bring you to maturity and completeness in the face of a world who desperately needs to see from God's people our ability to find in Christ the hope and security and strength we need to face the realities of this world. So those are my encouragements to you this Tuesday morning. Again, using one of my favorite drinks, if not my favorite drink, a good cup of coffee as a reminder that God can use even the difficulties, the hot water as it were, to bring about his will and his purposes. Well, as always, I'm going to put the link to register to our services in this video. If you're planning to join us on Sunday, we'll be here 9 o'clock. If you could just let us know you're coming, you can click that link and sign up. Other than that, I hope you have a great Tuesday, the rest of your day, whatever is ahead of you, and a great week. And ultimately that you'll see God at work in your life, even and especially in the midst of whatever difficulty you might find yourself facing. All right, take care and have a good day.